Coach, with such a big game ahead tomorrow, what was the focus of practice today? What are some of the things that you were trying to lock in on as you prepare for the Hawks?
Well, this being the fifth time playing them, our knowing what we did before that worked, knowing what we need to clean up, understanding what personnel is, and really diving into the details of how you want to score on this team, but also how you want to stop them.
Obviously, Sunday's game wasn't really representative of what you expect tomorrow, but last week's game was more, with so much on the line at that time. Just what can you take away from that game and the way you guys won that one?
Well, I think the intensity, the attention to detail, the focus. I think there were a lot of things, obviously, that we could clean up. Shooting 21 for 31 from the free throw line, them finishing the possessions better than us, getting offensive rebounds. I think you got to clean those areas up. So those are two major themes that we looked at more than anything, but also diving into the game plan for what we'll also need to do more of.
Jamal, defensively, you guys have been the #1 defense in the league the last 15 games or so. You have wanted to play your best basketball in March and April. To kind of see that, is that kind of vindication for that?
I really think so. I think in our meeting today, we talked about that being the #1 defense, over the last 15, but also moving our offense to the 14th ranked offense in the league. And I think that says something about the group. It says something about the coaches and the way in which they're teaching. Guys buying into the roles that they've been given and executing exactly what they've been asked on a nightly basis.
How big is Franz for that defense?
Franz has been huge. I think it's very important the way the versatility he has, being able to switch on multiple defenders to guard the team's best players at times, using his size and length. But we always talk about it over and over again. It's not a one-on-one situation. It's 1 versus 5 when you have great players on the other team, and we've got to make sure we hone into that, especially tomorrow night.
What you said weeks ago, maybe months at this point, but when you were dealing with the brunt of the injuries, that you wouldn't wish that on your team, but you wanted to see it with a positive light because of the lessons learned. In what ways have you seen those lessons learned come to life, especially maybe down this last stretch?
Well, I think it gave guys an opportunity. Opportunity to step into different roles in different situations, and it takes time to get those roles, those wrinkles out. And I think that's what's happened in these moments. Guys have taken the possession battle, the roles they've been given, the opportunity that they've been given to be able to step into these moments. So now there's a trust factor for whoever you put on the floor. They've been in these situations. So that adversity has created this opportunity for us.
What has Corey Joseph meant to this team just in terms of veteran leadership? And I feel like, especially with him starting, you guys are playing so much faster on the offense.
He pushes the pace. I think if you watch and track his numbers, he's getting that ball over the half court by 21 seconds quickly. So it allows us to create some advantages on the offensive end. But then the other side of it is just his IQ, his toughness, his experience in championship games, just his ability to know what we need in any given moment. And then he also plays with such a level of joy and fun no matter the situation in the game. He's an ultimate competitor.
How do you guys replicate the success that you guys had last postseason at home and carry that over into this year?
I think we've been saying it for the past 2.5 weeks, one game at a time, and this is the true definition of it. It's one game, and that gives you the opportunity to go play in the playoffs. And I think you just focus on taking care of the basketball, defending the right way, doing it without fouling, cleaning up all the little things within the details of the game. Because if you look at the 3 games without last night's game, it's been a difference of 6.3 points in average. So I think with that being said, it's the small details that will help you take care of home court.
With that many matchups with the Hawks, do you feel like you've seen everything and vice versa?
Yes and no. When you have great players and they have, Trey being one of them over there, he's going to find different ways so that you can draw up any type of play you want, any type of defense you want. Great players find a way to break that down. And so being able to see a lot of things, and we're going to see some different ones tomorrow, you can bet on that with him and how great of a player he is, leading the league in assists, his ability to score, his ability to get to the free throw line. There's so many intangibles that he possesses that you can run through plays, but sometimes it's just great players being great.
How important was the supporting cast as a whole in the last few weeks for regulars?
I think it's been big. To the earlier question is the fact that these guys had opportunities prior to because of the injuries and the things that we have been through. Again, there was opportunity and adversity, and I think that's what these guys have understood, and they know exactly how important tomorrow night is.
How valuable was last year's playoff run for these guys to know what to expect as they get ready to embark on that?
I mean, being in almost the exact same situation for the most part against Milwaukee. You know, you have to win that game to clinch, and our guys did a great job of showing up, understanding what the game plan was, and it was an up and down game. And these guys down the stretch figured out a way to get the job done, and I think that talks about the mental toughness, the resiliency, the focus level of this group, knowing what's at stake, but also thriving in that moment.
Whether it's guys you've coached or guys you've seen around the league, what characteristics do guys that are maybe categorized as a playoff riser, what do they all share?
They're not afraid of moments. They're not afraid to fail. They're not afraid to win big. They just go out there and play and manipulate defenses all over the place, and the great defenders find a way to get big stops down the stretch. But none of the great players are afraid of the moment to take the last big shot. They're not afraid to help and get their teammates involved and make the right play no matter what. But again, I would say it, great players find a way to stay in the moment no matter what's happening. They're not afraid of either outcome.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Game for you guys tomorrow. What was the focus of practice today as you prepare for the playing game against the Hawks?
The message of the day was just it being about us. Understanding how talented, how good we are when we're all clicking on all the right cylinders. Understanding what they expect from guys, the Trae Youngs of the world, the Conwus of the world. And just understanding that it's going to be a playoff atmosphere. We've had a taste of that last year, so understanding that we got to come into this game as a must-win, as we've done before. So, that's about it.
You mentioned last year's playoffs. Just what are your expectations for this one playing game? What do you expect tomorrow?
For us to be playing Orlando Magic basketball, it's no other time than now that we should be playing that way. We've had our ups and downs throughout the season, but there's no excuses now. It's a must-win game for us. For us to go in the trajectory that we've been planning for this whole year. We go out there and play our style of basketball. I'm not going to say we're going to win, not going to say we're going to lose, but as long as we play the right way and we do what we're supposed to do, we're going to have the best chances of winning that game.
Dell, you mentioned firing on all cylinders the last couple of weeks. You guys have the number one defense in the league. Jamal also noted that you guys are in the top half of the league offensively in that time.
Yep.
What's been key to kind of flipping that switch a little bit down the stretch?
I give a lot of credit to guys like KCP and Corey. Their veteran leadership, understanding that this is the most important part of the season. That no matter what happened in December, January, everybody's going to care about what happens in these last couple months of this season or the postseason. So, understanding we got to turn it up a notch. Recovery has been a really big thing for everyone. Just making sure, we're all locked in with our bodies. Our bodies are feeling good, and then mentally also. So, I give a lot of credit to those two guys. But then, as a group, we just been more confident. From the first guy to the 15th man. Everyone's taking their shots, make or miss, and I think that's it's going to help us a lot going into the postseason.
Back on Kenny and Corey, those are two title-winning guys that came to this team in the offseason. Obviously, that championship pedigree was part of the reason why it was so important for them to be here. But now that it's in the postseason, does that kind of go up a notch a little bit?
No, for sure. KCP says he lives for these moments. He's telling us, you're going to see the playoff KCP. So. We all know what that looks like. We all seen what he's done in the postseason in recent years. And I think he's going to help us so much on both ends of the court. His shot-making ability and the way he can defend. So I think him leading with not only his voice but by example is what's going to help us take that leap this year.
You mentioned this team maybe being a lot more confident right now. What do you attribute that mentality shift to?
I'll say it again, I'm sorry.
Like, you talked about having a lot more confidence as a group now. What do you sort of attribute that shift to?
I don't know. I think it's more of a man-to-man, look in the mirror type of thing. I think it's more of a understanding that it's a do-or-die situation. Understanding we're not going to have the same team next year. Understanding that, this could be the last time we ever play together this year. So, you can get caught up in an 82-game season. Being at game 60, being at game 50 is kind of feeling like it's another game. But now, these games matter. These last couple of games matter for us, locking up the home court advantage. And now every game matters. So I think that's kind of what push that focus of everybody just being more confident.
How valuable do you think last year's playoff experience was for you guys to ready to embark and hopefully another postseason run?
I mean, I think it was very important for us. I feel like not only myself, but we all just learned what the postseason is really about. A lot more physicality, a lot more attention to detail. Every possession matters. From the way you prepare for the game to how you recover after every game. Every what you eat every day. All of it kind of matters. To give yourself some kind of competitive edge going into the game. So I think it was a great experience for us. And I think everyone kind of learned from that situation last year for sure.
With the number of matchups already with Atlanta, do you feel like you've seen everything they've got, and then vice versa?
Yeah, of course. With playing them 4 times, we kind of got an idea of their style of play. But I'm sure they're making adjustments, as we are too. Understanding that we took away some of the things that they rely on the offensive end, and then defensively exposing them on certain things. So I'm sure they'll make adjustments, as we will too. But personnel-wise, tendencies, I think we got a really good feel for what guys like to do on that team.
Thanks, Wendell.
Thanks, Del.
Appreciate y'all.
Such a big game ahead for your group tomorrow. What was the focus of practice today? What were you guys trying to hone in on as you prepare for the Hawks?
Yeah, obviously a couple game plan things on both sides of the floor. Obviously we played them a bunch this season already, so looking at those games, one went well, and what they scored on a bunch too. So what we maybe need to adjust for the game tomorrow, and talked a lot about us too, how we what's important just for our game.
You had a couple games off. How are you feeling at this point after the season now complete with just one playing?
I feel good physically. I'm excited for tomorrow. Obviously, the whole group is eager to get back to the playoffs. So should be a super fun environment tomorrow, and I think we're ready to go.
Taking on a lot of different defensive challenges this year. What makes a guy like Trae Young different in that regard?
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys where you're scared of him getting everybody else involved as well. And I don't know what he's averaging, but obviously he's a great scorer himself. So I think those are always really dangerous players.
How valuable was last year's playoff run that you guys got to experience as you get ready to embark on hopefully another playoff run?
Yeah, hopefully it's really valuable. I think experience, is the best teacher. So I think everybody learned a great deal from it, and hopefully that can help us tomorrow in that game. But it's also a new year, so I think for our group, I think just the way the year went, I think we're super excited just to get a chance to, play for a 7 seed.
With the number of matchups this year with the Hawks, do you feel like you've seen everything they've got, and vice versa, you've shown them everything?
I would say both teams, adjusted a little bit in the couple games in the regular season. So, it's not quite like a 7-game series. Obviously, we only really played 3 games where everybody was playing. So, I think it's a little bit of that, but I'm sure both coaching staffs, have some stuff up their sleeve.
What did last year's playoff experience kind of teach you about maybe the way the game changes in the postseason as opposed to the regular season?
Yeah, it's just obviously a lot more physical and intense, a little bit slower pace, I would say, but way more intense, I would say, than in a regular season.
What is your mindset? What are your expectations for tomorrow?
Exactly that. It's going to be a really tough game. Not everything's going to go perfect for us, and I think the team that is going to withstand those runs from the other team the best, and kind of keep a cool head the whole game is going to come out on top.
How important was the supporting cast around you and Paolo the last few weeks of the regular season?
I think the whole team is super important, throughout the whole year. I guess me and Paolo scored the most points, but that's just one job out there on the court. So for us to do that, everybody else, is part of that. And I think one job, it's not necessarily more important than the next. And I think some of those jobs don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet. Not everybody knows about it, but I think everybody in here knows how important everybody is.
Feel good about how you guys have played at home?
I think we had stretches where we really struggled at home. For the most part, I know we started really well. But I know last postseason we played really well here at home, and I'm excited to get in front of our fans and be ready for a good atmosphere.
Is is that success from last year's postseason at home something you try replicating? Obviously, it's a different year this year and the circumstances are different, but do you try and draw back on that at all, or how do you kind of approach it?
I think a little bit. I mean, the fans, obviously they can help us out a little bit, but we got to play well. So that's what I want to focus on tomorrow. How can I play the best game I can play and help my team? And I think there is some of that, you want to take advantage of, runs like that, and know that the atmosphere can play a little bit of a difference, yeah.
With what's at stake, how important will it be to get off to a good start?
It's always good to get off to a good start, but it's 48 minutes. Whoever, like I said, not everything's going to go great. I can't tell you guys how the game's going to go tomorrow, but I think just the team that is the most level-headed and stays confident over the whole 48 and sticks to their game plan the best, I think that's who's going to win. Thank you.